So hello everyone, welcome back to our day 2 of descriptive answer writing, and today's question you all would be knowing about. Now let's directly jump to the answer of the question. So just before jumping into answer of the question, let me just briefly try to understand that. I'll try to briefly show you what was the question today. I'll also show you what should be the structure, and also I'll show you that what is just a basic structure of answer writing. Okay, so we'll directly jump. We'll not talk about something else. I know you all would be eager to know about the evaluation of your answers also, and I'm going to check all of your answers today. Okay, whatever answers I have got, I will check all of them, and out of that I will tell which are the top 1 or top 2 students which have performed well in this particular question. What was the question? Okay, try to understand. Every time when descriptive answer writing we are considering, I told you, you have to first analyze the question. Look at the question. Considering the relapse of Chipko movement for forest conservation in recent years, discuss role of community in forest conservation initiatives with example in India. 15 marks for 400 words. This particular question you can understand that considering Chipko movement, which was a environmental or maybe forest related movement against the deforestation, that means to conserve the forest, right? In the same limelight as today also deforestation is taking place, you tell us or discuss how community can play an important role in conserving the forests. So how community can play an important role in forest conservation initiatives and give various examples which are in India. This is for 16 marks and 400 words. Overall, if I try to tell you, there is one keyword only, that is discuss in red color. And the topic, if you are talking about Chipko movement, is a current affairs related topic, but at the same time it is related to forestry and environmental movements in India. So therefore, we can say that overall Chipko movement could be an example from our forestry topic in agriculture and rural development. Forest conservation initiatives, again, one of a significant phase 2 related topic from our forestry, right? Overall, we understood these important things, and now we also know what we have to write in the answer. What we have to write? Simple. Introduction, we can write how Chipko movement or community forestry and how it can improve the conservation initiatives in India. Simple. You may be knowing Chipko movement, well and good, write about it. If you are not knowing about Chipko movement, write about how what is community forest. Okay, you can even define community forest. You can even write how community forest can be used as an forest conservation initiative. How community from different rural regions in different places in India can be very influential in improving the forest conservation as well as in the forest conservation initiatives. Our introduction could be any basic thing. If you are not doing Chipko movement, no problem. You can define community forestry, that's fine. Now, body. In body, the question, the first thing, consider the relapse of Chipko movement for forest conservation in recent years. It means that now again, if anywhere deforestation starts, for example, can I state it, the recent deforestation activity to which various people came forward, can I write it? RA forest conservation. If anybody can tell, various Bollywood actors, the activist from Mumbai, so RA forest conservation reminds us of Chipko movement, right? And RA forest movement, when it happened, just in 2019-2020 it has happened. So in the same way, just while imagining that Chipko movement is so important for forest conservation, right? You tell us how communities can be very influential in conserving the forest. Simple. So role of community in forest conservation with example, simple, this is your body, and conclusion would be again how community initiatives can improve the condition in overall forest as well as overall environmental space. Okay, so this could be our structure of the answer. Now, before just jumping into model answers, I will definitely check the answers also, don't worry. Okay, first let's discuss little bit about our topic today, that is Chipko movement. Okay, so before just discussing the answer, let's discuss what was Chipko movement. As we all know, Chipko movement is nothing but it was Chipko Andolan, also Andolan protest, a non-violent social and ecological movement by rural villagers, particularly women in India. When it happened? 1970s, personality related to Chipko movement, Sundarlal Bahuguna, okay, aimed at protecting the trees and forest which were being slayed or maybe deforested by government-backed logging. Logging is nothing but cutting the trees for timber production, lumbering activity, okay. Similarly, overall in-depth, if you try to understand Chipko movement, when it happened, 1973, place, location you should be knowing about, Chamoli district and later in Tehri, Garhwal district of Uttarakhand. Leaders, Sundarlal Bahuguna, Gauri Devi, Sushi Devi, Bachni Devi, Chandi Prasad Bhatt, etc., etc. You can read them here. Aim was, the main objective was to protect the trees on the Himalayan slopes from the axis of the contractors who were cutting the trees for their lumbering activity. Simple as that. This is basically Chipko movement. If you are having little bit idea also of the Chipko movement, in the introduction, you could have clearly mentioned about the Chipko movement, right? Now, when we are talking about community forestry, okay, so the forestry as the chapter is coming, right? Is it helpful in RBI Grade B? This particular question is not, because this is from agriculture and rural development, okay, Deepika? So here, Deepika, this question will not help you, but still, how we are writing the answer, that can be very, very like useful to you. So forestry, 5 branches are there. First is silviculture. Silviculture is nothing but practice of raising the forest crops along with the tree crops, okay. Forest crop, tree crops, as you are trying to grow silviculture. Silvi is nothing but trees and culture means growing. So when you are trying to grow forest crops or maybe hardwood trees, that is called silviculture. Mensuration is nothing but measurement of the overall forest produce, okay. So volume of the trees, overall age of the trees, okay, then density of the trees, etc. Silvicultural system, silviculture and silvicultural system is different, okay. Silvicultural system is nothing but the process in which the forests are planted. After planting of the forest, they are harvested. After harvesting of the forest, they are properly replaced. After getting replaced, they are again regrowth of the forest. Again, after growth of the forest, they are harvested. So in this cyclic form, they are sowed, they are cut, and they are again planted. Sowed, cut, planted. This is the system of harvesting of the forest crops by sowing, then harvesting, and then again replanting. Management is nothing but again techniques, economics, as well as other forest related whatever processes are managed. And utilization, as you all know, it is nothing but whatever forest produce are there, those harvesting them, marketing, as well as producing the final produce. Apart from that, 6th point is also there, that is your forest legislation. For example, your Forest Right Acts as well as recent all the forest acts. Overall, these are the 5 or 6 branches of your forestry, okay. Why I told you? Now these are the basic 5 to 6 branches of the forestry. According to objectives, there are different classification or types of forest also. First is your protection or your environmental forestry. So protection or environmental forestry is nothing but when protection of land is there, land is done, or maybe whatever forest is done, that is protected. So you can take example of Buddha Jayanti Park in New Delhi. You can take wildlife conservation, whatever natural parks are there, wildlife sanctuaries are there. Then is production forestry or commercial forestry. So here whatever the forests are grown, those are grown for timber and other raw materials. Then it's social forestry, that is raising the forests with involvement of society. Then it's farms forestry, where forests are grown along with the agriculture on the same farmlands, okay. Then it's community forestry, where this question was all about, right? Look at it, Chipko movement and how communities can help in the conservation of forest, that means community forestry. So here the main point is community forestry, raising the forest of public on public or community land. And last is urban forestry, that is management or growing crops in your urban tier 1 areas. So we understand that evaluations we will see later. Let's first move to our model answer. Now, okay, now let's move to our model answer. I in depth told you what is Chipko movement. I also told you what are different branches of forestry. I also told you according to our objectives what are different even types of forestry, and of which community forestry which we are very interested. Why? Our question is related to community forestry only. Look at it. Discuss the role of community in forest conservation activities, initiatives and activities. That means community forestry. How community forestry can improve the forest. That's the point. Okay. Then we come to a model answer. Model answer, introduction. Look at it. Two types of introductions have been given overall. 2 points have given. I already told you, you can either write about explanation about Chipko movement if you know. If you don't know, you can even define community forestry. That's fine. Or even you can even write a basic introduction like community forestry is nothing but how the forests are grown on community or public land with the help of associated community or people in society. That's it. Various participation of people at a local scale as well as at an overall like mass participation of people. This not only leads to proper conservation practices but also overall improves the forestry practices. Okay, such brief linkage of community with forestry practice also can be shown, that how it is improving the forestry, how it is improving the conservation, sustainable as well as overall forest produce. Okay, you can even take example also. For example, a good example of community forestry could be Dandakaranya region in your central or South Indian region. Okay, where various communities participate in those forests and the cultivation of forest and the forest produce sale. Okay, so this could be one of the introduction apart from this introduction which has been written, where nowhere I have mentioned about Chipko movement, right? Both of the introductions are good enough. Let's see our introduction. The Chipko movement was a non-violent agitation. So Chipko movement was a non-violent agitation in 1973 which was aimed at protection and conservation of forest trees, but perhaps it is best remembered for its collective mobilization of women for the cause of preserving of forest. Why? Because in Chipko movement लोगों ने क्या किया था, उस पेड़ों को जाकर उन्होंने they hugged the trees. Okay, so उन्होंने पेड़ों को जाकर जकड़ के रख लिया पेड़ों को ताकि लोग उन पेड़ों को काट ना सके. Okay, so it is more of community activity. Okay, it's more about a mobilization of community for a good cause of conservation of trees or against the deforestation activity, which also brought a change in attitude regarding the own status in the society. So how the plants, environment as well as the forests were seen, that also attitude change was there because of the Chipko movement. The uprising against failing of the tree and maintaining ecological balance in the Uttar Pradesh Chamoli district, now which is in Uttarakhand. In 1973 it was in Uttar Pradesh. And no time spilled into where the states in North India. The name of the movement Chipko comes from the word embrace or hugs, which the villagers gave the tree and encircled the trees so that the contractors or the whatever the loggers were there, they were not able to cut the trees. Now this introduction briefly is very good. Now let's move towards the next part of the question. We did tell that Chipko movement description in the introduction, but here one more line should have been there. Chipko movement shows us that how communities can play a vital or very important role in community forest conservation as well as improving the forest's standards. And therefore, the role of community in forest conservation is as follows. Here, the first point we can write, vital role in resource management. So how communities can be vital in resource management? First is participation of people for effective resource management in a country. So a touch of community participation is required along with the government initiatives. Everything government cannot do. For example, there may be a forest where government is trying to improve the overall productivity as well as conservation. But without community participation, government cannot do it. Okay. For example, Costa Rica was able to increase its forest cover through the system of payments in local areas in the lieu of maintenance of forest. That means what? In Costa Rica, whatever local people were there, they gave out of pocket expenditure from their pockets so that government may do some conservation practices for the forest. I'll give you one more example. The Maldhari community, which is a nomadic community in the Rajasthan as well as Gujarat region, they were responsible for the conservation practices in the Gir National Park. Okay, so this also shows that one community can come and how they can help in the resource management of various forests or any of the ecological or environmental region. Okay, beyond the governmental framework, so the role of local institutions like Gram Panchayat, Gram Sabha, okay, then whatever state government, central government, the joint forest management committees, these are restricted to be only consultative institutions, that what decision has to be taken, what can be done, but the main implementation, the main activity, that only community can be doing. For example, Bishnoi community, it's considered animals, Bishnoi community, whatever is there, it considers that animals are sacred. Okay, animals are sacred and even considers animals godlike entities. Therefore, they helped in the conservation as well as survival of various species of nilgai, wild buck, as well as various tigers as well as lions in the Rajasthan and Gujarat region. Okay, so therefore here you can see that how a small tribal or small nomadic community has helped in the conservation of a particular region. Major role in conservation. Local communities can be major difference between conservation or destruction of wildlife, wildlife. So local communities are having best knowledge of local conditions. Also, they know the overall topography. They also know that how different local ideas as well as local resources can be used for the conservation of this whatever forest or whatever landscapes are there. Okay, so some examples, if you see, Maldharis, as I told you, a nomadic cattle herders, has helped to conserve the lion population in Gir forest in Gujarat. A recent survey also shows that 25% rise in population in just 4 years. Look at this example very carefully. Maldharis, just a nomadic tribe which is having no house. Nomadic means which move from one place to other. These are just cattle herders, and how they have helped lion, a very important species in the Gir National Park, for their conservation. So this is how community plays a role in improving the or in the forest conservation or maybe environmental conservation. Social aspects in the conservation of forest. We all know that forests do have social aspects also from community point of view. For some communities, the forests are also sacred and which are called as sacred groves. Sacred groves. So some of the Dandakaranya regions are also called as sacred groves. In Kerala also, there are various forests which are given religious importance. So these sacred groves are nothing but where a particular local community which gives religious importance for this forest. I hope you get the point. So forest also holds social importance also in the Indian society. So Dandakaranya community reserve maintained by the people themselves, which has religious importance. And grassroots level participation, that is at the local level, at the grassroots level, you could see that conservation efforts for wildlife without involvement of local communities could not be possible, and despite having all the necessary inputs, it could be a glass which is half filled. You need community participation as major of the people from the local areas. They not only bring the local identities, but they bring multiple hands, participation, ideas, as well as overall a community will as well as overall workforce which are striving for the conservation as well as community oriented practice to conserve either forest or any ecological landscape. Then conservation efforts of wildlife without involvement of local communities, despite all of these necessities, will be half glass filled, which we already discussed. Okay. Then controlling conflicts. As you all know, suppose a government is there, maybe state government, central government. At the same time, some government officials are there. Suppose they are trying to conserve the forest, but at the same time, if the local people or the community, they are not on the same plane as the government officials, then it can lead to conflicts. So with the help of awareness and participation of local communities, such conflicts can be reduced. At the same time, man-animal conflict also. For example, in South India, in the Karnataka and Kerala region, you could see that elephants are getting into the farmlands of the farmers. They are being electrocuted. Okay, so therefore such man-animal conflict as well as man and man conflicts can be automatically eliminated when local communities are brought into the participation, as nearly 7 lakh people along the large number of cows and domesticated animals live in the Gir region, but awareness efforts among Maldhari tribe only reduce the loss of life of animals. So what it means is that when you are trying to create awareness as well as participation, if local people are joining your movement, it will reduce man and animal conflict also as well as man and man conflict also. Okay, and last is implementation of policies. Various forest right acts are there as well as forest protection policies are there. Whatever such forest acts are there, they focus on sustainable management of forest resources as well as forest as whole, and therefore at the same time they also create stakes for local communities in conserving wildlife through securing their whatever forest rights are there. It may be of land, it may be of tenure, it may be of forest produce. Okay, so overall, in conclusion, what can we write about? Yes, in conclusion we can write the relapse of Chipko movement highlights the enduring importance of community involving the forest conservation. As I told you, RA Forest 2019-2020 was a best example. Whenever there would be a problem of conservation or which is related to environment, always one or other community will step up, and at the same time community with their deep connection to local ecosystem will play a pivotal role in safeguarding our natural heritage. So what I mean to say is that various communities, when they will be pulled together, when they will come together, they can make deep connection to the local ecosystem and play a very important role in safeguarding the local heritage. The recent example also has been given in the conclusion, that how Amrita Devi Bishnoi Wildlife Protection Award has given, whereas Bishnoi community in Rajasthan still protects the wildlife and forest. So based on that Bishnoi community, Amrita Devi Bishnoi Wildlife Protection Award has been recently a good example to just show that how an award has been formed after a community which has actually saved the various forests in the Rajasthan. So this award would be given to all those people who are striving for conservation of the forest. So this shows the importance, this name in the award itself shows the importance of the community conservation of forest. Now, additional forest and environmental initiatives. There are certain additional initiatives also apart from Chipko movement. What if tomorrow in Nabard or in any forestry, what are the different environmental initiatives or forest conservation initiatives? You can write in your answer as an example. First is Bishnoi movement. That only Bishnoi movement. In 1700s, place is Marwad region in your Rajasthan state, where Amrita Devi, a woman along with other Bishnoi villagers in Khejarli, that is your Marwad region, Rajasthan. Again, same like Chipko movement, she stopped the workforce of the king. So she gone against the king. ये तो राजा के साथ मतलब खड़ी हो गई against the king to save the sacred trees which were being cut down by the king's soldier for his new palace. So एक बिश्नोई कम्युनिटी की एक ट्राइबल जो लेडी थी, इन्होंने पेड़ों को बचाया, पेड़ों के सामने आ गई वो, ताकि राजा के लोग उनको काट ना सके, जिससे वो एक महल बनाना चाहते थे. सो इनके ऊपर ये अब अमृता देवी बिश्नोई अवार्ड दिया जाएगा फॉर द कम्युनिटीज विच आर कंजर्विंग एनवायरमेंट और फॉरेस्ट. रिमेंबर दिस ऑल्सो यू कैन राइट इन एग्जाम्पल इन योर आंसर. सेव साइलेंट वैली मूवमेंट 1978, ये है आपका ऑफकोर्स केरला में. सो केरला में whatever one NGO was there, Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad, here one poet activist was there. In order to protect the silent valley from a like whatever a reservoir was being constructed here on a river, so a dam was being constructed here. If the dam was constructed, excessive deforestation, the displacement of people who are indigenously living in the forest, that would have been taken place here. So to prevent that, a silent valley movement was done in Kerala. Okay, from jungle. Okay, from Jungle Bachao Andolan. Okay, from Jungle Bachao Andolan. Thank God. Okay. Am I audible now? Please let me know. We will cut this part, don't worry. We'll cut this part, don't worry. Okay, shall I continue? Yeah. So Jungle Bachao Andolan, nothing but year 1982, place Singhbhum district of Bihar. So here whatever the tribals were there of your Bihar, okay, here leaders were tribals of Singhbhum, and what they did was what government was trying to do, government already planted sal tree in the Singhbhum region for the forestry, so that the overall vegetation of the forest will increase, the forest area will increase. But at the same time, when government planted the sal tree didn't have a good economic value in the market. So they were not getting enough returns. So therefore, then government started to cut the sal tree and they started to replace it with the teak, so that they will get good economic returns from the teak. But whatever the tribals of the Singhbhum district were there, they considered those sal tree, again from the religious as well as tribal point of view, cultural point of view, they started, whatever the tribes were there, they came across the government and they said that just for economic purposes, we are not going to give you an opportunity to cut these trees. And therefore they came in between, and what they did was they prevented this deforestation which was in the Singhbhum region of your Bihar and overall Jharkhand. Okay. Then the next movement is Apiko movement. Apiko movement is similar to Chipko movement only. Apiko movement is also called as Chipko movement of South India. Okay. 1983 in Shimoga district of Karnataka. Here also people here from the regions of Uttar Kannada as well as Shimoga district, they started embracing the tree, hugging the tree, so that the government will not cut the overall trees through the deforestation. So it was against the failing and commercialization of natural forest, which was ruining the ancient livelihood of the people. So this is your Apiko movement. Now why apart from only in the question Chipko movement was there, then why I am discussing other movements also? I am discussing because all these movements you can use them in your answer. If a question similarly comes on the community forest, on the various, on forestry, always one descriptive question is there. So for example, in 2021 Nabard phase 2, which question was asked? Social forestry. In 2022, which question was asked? Social forestry. So in 2021 and 2022, both years social forestry question was asked. So you should have such examples where communities have involved in the forest conservation, and this is a type of community forestry only, where the forests are grown on the community or public lands, okay, for other purposes. Then comes our Narmada Bachao Andolan. You would be knowing about full-fledged and like protest done in 1985 for whatever the tribal people were there as well as other people were there, those were dislocated, okay, those were dislodged and dislocated from their local habitat from the Narmada basin because of Sardar Sarovar Dam. And whatever this Sardar Sarovar Dam was there, because of that it led into migration as well as dislocation of the various people. Medha Patkar was the leading activist, along with her was Baba Amte as well as other tribal heads. Narmada Bachao Andolan was in 1985, okay, and this was a social movement actually against the dislodging and dislocation of large number of tribal people because of the construction of the dam, that is your Sardar Sarovar Dam. Overall, these are some of the examples which you can use in your answers, from which again Chipko movement, Bishnoi movement, Save Silent Valley movement, Jungle Bachao Andolan, Apiko movement, then is Narmada Bachao Andolan. RA movement also would be our recent movement, 2019 and 2020. RA forest movement, what happened? Various Bollywood actors, other activists as well as whole Mumbai community, they came against the government's decision that they were trying to cut down a section of RA forest just because it was not defined under forest for the construction of metro, garage. Okay, simple. Now let's try to understand Yeah, next, now let's try to evaluate the answer as we were saying. So first answer is of Nishant. Okay, so whoever Nishant is there, so answer we will check. Okay, so Nishant's answer first is introduction. Okay, Chipko movement was started in 1973 from Chamoli district of Uttarakhand by leaders like Sundarlal Bahuguna and Gauri Devi. The movement was to save the trees of Himalayas from cutting by hugging them in order to save forest. Correct. This movement created a wave in a country for community conservation of forest, leading to saving environment from deforestation and other anthropogenic activities. Beautiful introduction, but still we will cut his mark. Why? Environment spelling is wrong and deforestation is also wrong. Okay, so always remember, see, this is an exam where answer writing is done through typing. So therefore such errors are there, definitely you will lose your mark. And that is why I am telling you, whatever this paragraph is there, okay, first introduction of your paragraph as well as overall answer, there should be minimum, there should be actually no typo errors. Okay, so 3 errors we will be avoiding: spelling error, punctuation error and grammatical error. Okay, here we are cutting is 15 marker question was there, right? So here we will definitely cut is 1 mark. But in recent times, the forest conservation has taken a back seat. So this is a very good dimension. Now in our model answer, we didn't wrote recently what is happening. We all know the David versus Goliath debate. What is it? The development versus environmental debate. So if you are doing development, the environmentalist activist will say that this development is harming our environment. If development is going on and if some environmental activist is coming and saying that this project should stop, then the development or whatever architecture is there, engineers are there, they are saying that these environmentalists always act as an hurdle between our developmental activity. So we can just take an example of Sardar Sarovar Dam. Sardar Sarovar Dam in your Narmada region provides almost 80% of irrigational capacity to whole of the Narmada basin. But at the same time, it has displaced more than lakhs of people. So do you need development or do you need environment? So both of the communities are being compromised. That is why we need a proper moderate method. So here a good paragraph has been written by Nishant, and this is one of the best paragraphs he has written. Apart from his introduction, this is very impressive. Recent time forest conservation has taken backseat due to emphasis on development, that is development of infrastructure for railways, border infrastructure, road, industrial corridor. So in the wake of development, we somewhere forgot environment. This is what Nishant is saying. Very beautiful, a good argument for energy generation, etc. But forest plays a very important role in ecological balance. So huge biodiversity resides in forest, which is important for ecology. And as climate change is there, forest will play an important role. Again, role spelling is wrong, important here also, grammatical mistake, and stabilizing spelling also here for climatic process. So what I could see is that overall comprehension, points, arguments are very good, but grammatical errors are there, and that's why we are now cutting his marks. So 2 marks are cut here based on the grammatical errors, whatever we are seeing. There is a need of community participation in the forest conservation along with the government efforts to conserve the forest as community living nearer. So nearer spelling is wrong, government spelling is wrong. Okay, to have a close relationship with forest, making it easier to complement both needs. Okay, I get that. Okay, so what he says is that along with development, we need to even consider our environment and our forest conservation. So the role of community in forest conservation, first awareness. Yes, simple. Why awareness is important? As communities will get participated, more and more awareness spread would be there. For example, Apiko movement in Karnataka. If Chipko movement only didn't happen, how could Apiko movement happen? So Apiko movement took inspiration from Chipko movement. Spelling is wrong. Again, marks cut. Okay. So almost 3-4 marks are cut here only because of spelling mistake. Many spelling mistakes are there, so I don't think he'll be getting very good marks. I apologize for this, but see, content is good, but typo errors are too much. It tries to create a balance between the usage of forest with conservation to avoid over-exploitation. Example, Save Silent Valley movement in Kerala 1973 to save biodiversity. Okay. It helps government in implementing conservation policies like Project Tiger. Excellent. Project Tiger is one of the benevolent practices the project was in 1991, where again the community participation is from our Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh region. Okay. It helps in raising the rights of tribal people like Kudankulam nuclear power plant project protest which was again displacement or dislocation of your tribal villagers. Again a very good example. Okay, it creates balance between the development, it creates the balance between development versus environment debate, like infrastructure in biodiversity parks, border area development in northeast area. So what he is meaning is that always we talk about development versus, am I audible? Meditation, why are you crying? Okay, so always we talk about how forest or how development and environment are always against each other, but here he is saying that we need a balance between both. Okay, and the best example is biodiversity part. That means we are doing construction or developmental activities for conservation, right? And here border area development, you are doing again conservation for your development. Okay, so in this way there is a need to bring all the stakeholders on the table to devise comprehensive policy to conserve the forest by defining roles. All the stakeholders would be community members, government, corporates, exactly, etc., etc. I got the conclusion. Little bit conclusion is weak. Overall I will give him 7 marks. What answer did we see? First is his body, whatever was there, it had only 5 points. Only 5 points, that is the role of community in forest conservation. It's a 15 marker question and I expect 8 points at least, 8 to 9 points. We saw in model answer we had so much of points. So therefore we need 8 points at least. Now comes Akanksha's answer. Chipko movement started in Uttarakhand. So introduction would be same only. Don't need to read it. I have already read it. It's a very good introduction and even grammatical and technical errors are not there. Okay. So community plays a key role in forest conservation. She is giving 2 examples. Tribes of Gujarat in Gir, that is your Maldari community, and trees are regarded as spirit god in central India, that is your Dandakaranya region. Okay. Again she is giving much more examples. Okay. Community plays key role. So she is giving examples. The third example she is giving of khejri trees being cut down in large scale in Rajasthan, that is your Bishnoi movement. Chipko movement then she gives. But here the real point she has not written. She just gave examples but no points. So again here we will be giving less marks. Only 6 marks or 5 marks I will be giving. Swagat's answer. Introduction, if you see, forest place. Now here very beautiful, Swagat has written an innovative answer. No Chipko movement he has written in his answer. But still his introduction is decent. It's not bad. Let's read. Forest plays a vital role in ecological balance of the planet. They provide us with clean air, water, regulate climate and protect biodiversity. Beautiful, simple, sober, beautiful. However, forests are under increasing threat from the deforestation, climate change and other human activities. Got it? Very beautiful. Community-based forest conservation, CBFC, a keyword, a term has been addressed, is an approach that local communities are involved in management and protection of forest. Very beautiful. It has been shown to be effective in reducing deforestation, improving forest health and enhancing livelihoods of forest dependent communities. Very beautiful. India's long history of community based forest conservation, and that would be Chipko movement. Here now he is adding the CBFC. But one mistake he did. Look at the introduction. 1 paragraph, introduction, 2 paragraph, introduction, 3 paragraph. I am just imagining where is his answer, and the problem is his answer is everything. He has written his answer in paragraphs, and what I have recommended everyone is that you should never write answer in paragraphs. Why? The examiner will not be able to segregate it in introduction, body and conclusion, and that's why it would be very, very harmful for you. Okay. The real answer, if you see here, it starts from here. So in recent year there has been relapse of Chipko movement in forest dependent communities in India. For example, villages in Kumaon region of Uttarakhand also hugged the trees, which was a protest against the construction. Yes, RA forest, how protest was there. Similarly in Uttarakhand also, Kumaon protest was also there, which is relapse of Chipko movement. Again, Chipko movement 2.0 it was called as in Kumaon region. The role of community in forest conservation initiatives, now he is starting his answer. So first is monitoring and protection. So community members could monitor whatever like harms are there for the forest, as well as whatever challenges are there, and protect also from the activities which are harmful for the forest. It may be mining, it may be illegal logging, it may be poaching and other threats for the forests. Other forest conservation and mobilization activities also could be done. Then its second point is sustainable management. But the problem is, look at here, he has not mentioned points. For examiner, it becomes very difficult to look and chase after the points. Sustainable management, that is nothing but community members can participate and make the overall conservation processes more sustainable. Conflict resolution, we already told, man and animal and man conflict resolution. Research and education, as community members can participate in forest ecology management as well as give local solutions. Okay, they would be having local knowledge. One example, if you see, so joint forest management program, which we also had written in our answer. Okay, so this, and then he goes for the conclusion. In conclusion, basically again he is writing community-based forestry conservation and its importance, which is a very good conservation, our conclusion, okay, which is based on community-based forest and conservation. Okay, overall, this particular answer which was there, I think it was a very good answer, but structuring little bit flaws were there. Still, 8.5 marks will be giving to this answer. Now comes Ayushi's answer. Again, introduction she has given of Chipko movement. Then the role of community, she starts directly with the points. Now this is very good. It is Ayushi's answer. When I saw it, it was very specific and point wise. Traditional knowledge and practices, that is your local knowledge application. Source of livelihood, again for local communities. Support for local industries, this was very innovative point. Source support for local industries. So for example, suppose northeast community is there, then they are of course doing tea plantation. Okay, suppose Uttarakhand community is there, then their horticultural cropping is there. Suppose Western Ghats community is there, then here you could see plantation crops are there. So every local industry is different for different regions. Okay, cultural importance, local people worship trees and forests, as the example was Dandakaranya forests. Income generation, already we have. Collective resistance, that is community together may act as a good force for conservation efforts. And then comes your conclusion. Points were less, but the answer was very specific. So again 8.5 I will give you the answer, because the answer was not going here and there, it was not haywire, it was very good. 8.5 still. M's answer, community based conservation is seen as more of a holistic and inclusive approach to conservation, as it takes into account the needs and aspiration of people living in or near areas of ecological significance. It has been implemented in various parts of the world as a means to promote conservation while addressing livelihood and socio-economic concerns of local community. He has neither mentioned Chipko movement or community conservation forestry. He has directly just community-based conservation. He is trying to make a paragraph over it. Overall, a good introduction, decent introduction. Then he comes towards further next paragraph, and then he mentions Chipko movement, and then he starts his answer. Relevance of community involvement or community participation. Example to this particular line, he is also giving example of Bishnoki community. Then collaboration with authorities again, but here example he has not given. Awareness and education, traditional practices, that is local understanding or requirements, monitoring and protection, same point. Economic incentive, very good point. Policy advocacy, now this is a very innovative point he had added. So more and more community participates in the forest conservation. Of course, government would be interested in the interests of the people or your community. So therefore, forest right acts, these are examples where such policies are changing according to the requirements of the community. So therefore, policy advocacy. And then challenges and future prospects of your community based conservation or community based forest conservation. Okay, this also he has written, and conclusion also he has written very well. This overall answer we can give it 9.5 marks, a very good answer. Okay, then Arga's answer, the relapse of movement akin to the Chipko movement in recent years underscores the enduring significance of community involvement in forest conservation efforts in India. These movements serve as poignant reminders of intrinsic connection between local communities and surrounding ecosystem. I don't know whether this answer is from ChatGPT, but looking at the vocabularies, I definitely feel that it can be an answer from ChatGPT. But overall, let's try to check it. The introduction was a very huge paragraph, and so was the rest of the answer. So overall, when I read the answer, it is becoming very difficult because all the answer is in one paragraph only. Neither the segregation of paragraph has been done properly. Okay. So it is becoming very difficult. So for example, here firstly has been written. So it could have been broken down into, of course, into a separate paragraph, but it has been not been done. Overall, a good answer, but again, minimum points are there. Points is also very difficult. So therefore, only 6 marks for this answer. Riya's answer is there. A good introduction on Chipko movement she has given. I have read it. In recent years, abrupt change, again, after Chipko movement's description, she has also given a second passage which shows that how climate change and community participation, why it is like how the relevance of community participation in forest conservation is there. These all points she is writing in the second paragraph. But then when you look at the answer again, this is also a paragraph based, and more importantly, various grammatical mistakes are there in this particular answer. Okay. So therefore, what I feel is that apart from that, examples are really very, very good. For example, look at it. The Amazon rainforest, which is also called as lungs of planet, produces 20% of required oxygen of the biosphere which it sustains. So it shows you how a particular forest is important for a community and for a particular ecological region as a whole. So examples were well, even the comprehension was well, and the points also are also good, but various grammatical spelling errors and not writing the answer in points, that has taken the toll. Overall, whatever these were the answers, those have been checked, and now let us also check some of the other answers. So first is Venki D's answer. Okay, Venki's answer. Look at here now, Venki's answer. Here, the first introduction, if you see, it's a very huge introduction. I already told you what is the overall. If we try to frame an answer, then while framing an answer, you should be knowing the overall proportions of the answer. The introduction should be of max to max 4 to 5 lines. The conclusion should be of 4 to 5 lines. And the body should be of remaining word limit. So 10% introduction, 10% conclusion, 80% body. Here what I saw on major answers this time, introduction was in full 2-3 paragraphs. No, it's not required only. According to State Forest Report 2021, total tree forest, unnecessary factual data at the start. I will cut the 1 marks directly. The question is of community-based forest conservation, or maybe even community forestry, or maybe Chipko movement. This fact is unnecessary, it's not actually required only. The second paragraph is okay based on Chipko movement, that is fine. Then recent year, how infrastructure projects and several deforestation activities have increased and the conservation practices has lost their relevance. He has given in points various incidences. Very good, that's fine. Now he's writing about role of community forest conservation. So first is conservation of forest according to PESA 1996, PESA is the act. Wildlife conservation, producing crops without artificial chemicals, and then his answer ends. You could see his answer, you will understand that his major answer was introduction and his body was very, very less. And neither of his bodies, only some points tried to address the main understanding of our total question. That was role of community in forest conservation. So therefore, we will give very less marks, 5 marks only. So next answer is of Yama Chandrawal, and this is one of the best answers which I saw up till now. Okay, Yama's answer is of it's of best. Okay, of all the answers, it is the best one. Chipko movement was a famous forest conservation initiative in 1970s. It saw communities playing pivotal in protecting trees by hugging them and preventing them from being felled. This movement has been seen occasionally relapse and ongoing efforts in recent years. He wrote only one statement. If he would have further elaborated this statement only, that how the relapse of, how the relevance is there of Chipko movement today. He would have mentioned RA forest. He would have mentioned the Kudankulam project or maybe the protests of the Kudankulam. he would have mentioned the Chipko movement 2.0 in Uttarakhand in 2021-2022. Therefore, then his introduction would have become very impactful. But his body of answer is very good. Role of communities in forest conservation. Local knowledge and connection, correct. Stewardship in the sense when people are recognizing you because of your particular activity or your benevolent or act of kindness. Sustainable practices, again community-based sustainable practices. Cultural and spiritual beliefs, an example also Kani tribe in Western Ghat who maintain sacred groves. Then local governance. Menda Lekha village in Maharashtra have their own Gram Sabha which makes the decision about forest resource. He has written the answers, the main points, the pointers and the examples so flawless. These examples are there, very, very beautiful examples. Okay. Social pressure. Mishing tribe in Assam do the community patrol to combat against the illegal activities of deforestation and tree lodging. Beautiful example, beautiful point. Economic benefits. Soliga tribe practice agroforestry and non-timber food products like honey and bamboo cultivation in the region. Education and awareness, Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve community. Mitigation climate change, Kani tribe of Kerala, again he mentions, in Agasthamala Biosphere Reserve. Advocacy and your collaboration, Adivasi community of Simlipal Biosphere Reserve in the NGO with NGO Vasundhara and governmental agencies for the rights and conservations of tribes. Overall, if you see, these examples illustrate the continued role of communities in forest conservation initiatives in India. This was a very beautiful answer from our Chandrawal, Yama Chandrawal, okay. So therefore, this is a very good answer. The next answer is of Nitin Wadgure, okay. Here if you see, he has again given the introduction. Introduction is based on Chipko movement and a very brief and a very good introduction he has given. Again, it has also, he also mentioned about Chipko movement, but the relevance of community in today's conservation or forest scenario, he forgot to mention, but still it's fine. Points whatever are there, 6 points he has given, but conclusion also he has given a very well conclusion. Overall, when you see points like traditional ecological knowledge, sustainable resource management, forest guard, agroforestry, forest restoration and sustainable agricultural practices. These are the points which I had sent 2 days but not checked, sir. Ayush, I have checked all the answers which came to me. Okay. So overall, as I tell you, the first ranker of our day 2 answer writing practice is Yama Chandrawal, claps for him. And the second ranker is your Nitin Wadgure. Okay. So claps for him too. And apart from that, if we try to choose anybody's answer, then that would be, of course, the third ranker. If we try to find out, yes, that is M's answer. Okay, that is M's answer. I don't know who is this M. Okay. So overall, Chandrawal, Nitin and M. These are our 3 toppers. Thank you very much. See you next time. We'll see you tomorrow with a ESI question, okay, which Lakshmi ma'am will give the answer, of course. And tomorrow morning, again, stay tuned. Ashish sir will come with the day 3 of your free descriptive answer writing session in which we are trying to learn and understand the art of answer writing. Thank you very much. See you next time.